So we can go ahead, and I believe our first order of business would be our election of officers. So as normal, we would take nominations from the floor for your chairman. So do I hear any nominations for chairman?
I'd like to nominate Brian again.
Brian, are you good with that?
I'm good. Is there anyone else that has interest? I feel like I didn't have a chance to do a whole lot with it, with a unique year, but I would like to do it. I just didn't know if anyone else had interest in it.
Okay, hearing no other signs of interest there from the floor, could we?
How about a second?
Yes, thank you. I was going to say vote, and I was looking for that word second. Thank you. Do we have a second for?
This is Naomi. That I second it.
Thank you.
Okay, so Brian, as chair, did you want to take over the meeting?
Sure.
And need a vice chair?
Oh, we do. Yes, we do need a vice chair. Let's see. How about we?
I'd like to nominate, let's nominate Jason.
I second that.
Wow, we didn't even get to ask Jason if he was going for it.
If he's up
Jason?
for it.
I will accept it.
Great.
I was going to nominate him, but Barb beat me to it. So
Go Barb. Barb's getting her Zoom in.
Yay.
thank you, Jason. I think that's
Everybody's
it.
all in favor, just for the record? For both
Yeah.
of them?
For both? Do you want to take them separately, Rosemary?
No, just, no.
Okay.
I
I
got that. Thank you.
Okay, so I think that's the only other
Correct.
vote for office. So then let's see, review of the minutes from the October meeting. Then
Yes.
we don't have any guests or visitors tonight, right? So
Don't believe so. Brandon didn't say that we had any.
okay.
We do have
Mike
Chris
Perez
on
is here,
board.
though.
Yes, Chris is on board.
Hey, Mike.
There comes Mike.
Hey, Mike. Glad you made it. Does he need to put in a
You're on
vote?
mute, Mike.
There you go. Sorry.
Does
A
he need to
mess.
separately vote on the two officers?
Yes, Mike, we put the two officers, we had a nomination for Brian for chairman and Jason for vice chair. Would you like to chime in on that?
I approve both, if that's what you're asking.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very
And-
much.
And at the moment, Mike, we are just looking at our review of the minutes. That was our
Yes.
first item on the agenda.
I reviewed them and I make a motion to approve.
Did anybody have any questions on the minutes? If you have them there, any? Any questions on the minutes at all? I'll second that since Jason made a motion to approve them. I'll second that. I mean, don't think there was any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Then we move to the packet material that Karen and Phil sent out. Let's see.
I believe the only thing
What's in
that
the
you were,
packet material? I'm not seeing that. I'm sorry.
that's all right. I believe the only thing that I really sent out was the list of meetings and the schedule of the meetings for the year.
Oh, okay, so the proposed, is this similar to, I know last year was a little messed up. Is this similar to the months that we selected last year?
Yes, it is.
So January, March, April. May, July, September, October, November. Okay. And did we just, we skipped November because there wasn't really anything to go over, correct? Is that why we skipped the November meeting?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Does anybody have any questions on the proposed meeting schedule? Still going to land on the fourth Tuesday of every month, right? So
Yes, correct. And it's 7 o'clock.
so it's just a cut down from the way we used to do it, every month.
Yes.
It's eight total meetings. So, any questions on the layout of the schedule for the meetings this year?
Just a heads up, is the May meeting the Tuesday after Memorial Day?
Check my calendar, but I think you might, no, actually, I think Memorial Day is later this year. Does anyone? I think Memorial Day.
Yeah, I think that's the weekend. I think we're in Maryland for wrestling.
Yeah, Memorial Day is the 31st of May.
Okay.
Thank you, Rosemary.
Good question. Okay. We don't need to vote on that to approve that, right? That's going to be set, right?
No,
Okay.
yeah, no, that's fine. That's it.
Okay. Very good.
And as we noted at the moment and at the current time, the meetings are Zoom. But we're looking at one of our first meetings in March. We can see where we land in February. I'm thinking a little bit going on to the agenda. As you see on the agenda, we kind of put tentative April or tentative May for the meetings. But one of the things that we thought about was we could see what the conditions were in March. And if possible, maybe have an outdoor meeting. Perhaps I'm thinking maybe at the pavilion at Harriet Weatherall Park or something like that for the youth groups. That way we could kind of do that and spread out and be outside. So does anyone have any thoughts on that? Keeping that as our kind of game plan for March with that in mind?
Sounds great to me, Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
That sounds good. That's like similar to the pavilion we were at last year in the outside one.
Yes. I think it's a little larger. The one at Harriet Weatherall Park might be a little bit larger, which is what I was thinking, maybe go there. And plus,
Over there. Okay.
yeah, and if we're having outside classes, we are using the pavilion at the community center for some of our classes and some activities and things too. So that would free up that pavilion for use by a class, and we could meet at Harriet Weatherall Park, and it's still fairly quiet there.
Okay. Is there ever? It's probably too early to tell if there. What would be the next step if we go inside the community center? At one time we were talking about having a bigger meeting room set aside and just have everyone spaced out. Is we're progressing towards that possibly later in the year? Or?
Yeah, I'm sure we can. I'd like to see that. It's just, I was just thinking outside because of the amount of people coming in and out for the groups for us, so that would work. Either might work. We can play that by ear and see, kind of check in February and see where that would take us.
Okay. And weather permitting for that March one, obviously.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, if it decides to snow, obviously all bets are off, for that one, but
Okay.
we're hoping that white stuff is limited. That's my thinking.
Rain, we would still have it.
I think we would be fine under the pavilion, but again, we can kind of see where we stand.
But you'll follow up with us on that to confirm it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Then if that's it for the meeting schedule, that was the only packet material. Am I correct? Okay.
Correct.
Then we go into, for old business, the general department, youth group meeting times.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of jumped there on you, Brian.
Sorry.
My bad.
Where would you, did you not, I was moving into the, for old business, general department, youth
Yes,
group meeting times.
yes, but I'm sorry, that's what we just discussed, so I kind of
Oh.
jumped ahead without you. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So all the youth, okay, I got what you're saying. It was my misunderstanding then. All of them are coming through over there then. Okay, I've got you. Brochures, public relations.
Yes, for now, I think some of you probably have received our information. We are basically creating small brochures that we are sending out online, and we have available at the community center for anyone who is coming in. So we are sending those out for about a 2.5 month period. We will be sending the one for January, February, and some things, a few things in March. That is already out, and we would be sending the next one out at some point, probably middle to the end of February. So for this point in time, that is what we are looking at for sending out our publicity. We also have a pretty large list online that we send things out to as we have had before. So I think that is how pretty much our information is getting out at the moment. For that, we do have customers that are coming in. And I also believe the one thing I just wanted to add to that is in March, we do have the sewer bills, and we will be including 3 pages in the sewer bills. I believe the township is going to use the 4th page for part of our annual report that normally goes out in the newsletter. This moment in time, that's kind of what we are thinking for the sewer bills. Does anyone have any questions or any thoughts on getting the information out?
You consider that, is that like part of your marketing budget, getting those brochures and everything out? Is that marketing for you guys?
Yes, that is
just-
part, yes, it is part of the budget process, and we did this year, take out our brochures just because we needed to, decrease the budget,
Yeah,
knowing
that's-
that, the revenue isn't coming in as much.
That's what I was
So-
getting at. Are you worried if you decreased that and did away with that and tried to go more digital? Obviously, I'm sure that seniors, you don't want to miss anybody, but if you could do away with some of the paperwork and print up stuff and color stuff, obviously that stuff gets really expensive. I just didn't know how much you've tried to do digitally versus keeping up with the old booklets and brochures.
Right. Well, that is what we are doing now. We are doing pretty much all digitally and all social media, so that we are not spending the expense of the brochure. And again, anyone can get it who comes into the center. So, I mean, I'd like to think that a lot of the people are getting our information. We do have many seniors that are in the building during the day, so I think they are getting it if they want it, and I do think that they would try to give us a call. I know for the Silver Sneakers programs, they are also sending out information to the seniors that are eligible, so then they in turn would, usually call us for some of the things such as that. So I think until we get a little further down the line, there's, we know most of our customers that we have now. And we, of course, there are new folks that are coming in. We do have some new young people that are coming in. So I think we're going to have to wait down the line and see what that is and see where we need to expand. Phil and I kind of also had a thought on, some other things of maybe using our past mailing list at some point and sending out postcards just to refer people to, our locations of our brochure. But I think at this point in time, we are not ready to do that. And I think we want to kind of wait to see what we have to offer and when we can put a little bit stronger set of programs and everything out there.
Hi,
Okay.
this is Naomi. I have a question or a comment. So have we ever worked with the mall in like advertising on the screens there as a community outreach partnership, as well as maybe they have free airtime sometimes? I can look into this. I just thought of it, but maybe some type of airtime with certain radio and television stations.
We had looked the mall. We do have a relationship with the mall, and we are on the reader board that's out by Germantown Pike. We are permitted to put up some things on there, and I believe we just put up some things recently for the youth groups, for that. So we do that one at the moment. I don't think we've touched base with the radio and any radio or television in recent history.
Does the mall limit you to so many per year? Have they ever given you a specific amount of messages or times you can use it?
It's been a while. I don't think that we have a certain amount of limitations on it. They have a limit of what we're allowed to use it for. We have an agreement that we would use it for township as well as the youth groups. And that's pretty much our extent of what we would put on the mall sign for that. Like I
So
said,
just count like
I don't think
township day and then youth sports, you're saying, are the two?
Yes, those are the ones. And I don't believe we have any limitations. They just it depends, I think, on how much information they have and how often it gets rotated in. But we've not had any trouble with them, and I think Phil reached out to them pretty recently and and requested that we would be using that again.
Yeah, we just reestablished that relationship with the mall reader board to advertise for Little League registration. And we've done swimming, soccer, ice hockey, and a few community programs, but mostly it's been the youth sports groups, and they're very generous about it. But they are limited to how many times it can change. But when we hadn't done anything barely at all in 2020, but they were very receptive to the Little League advertisement. I think it's going to run until February 14th.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Naomi. I know we've talked about this in years past, but I would, if you can, try to push that for more time up there each month, even if, and I think you could still stay within the topics that you mentioned, but they don't have the amount, they don't have a lot of people inside the mall that are paying for time. And you guys, I believe, are getting it for free, which is great. I don't think they would have a big deal with you guys doing something every month out of the year if you can gear it towards the right. I got to imagine they'd probably like to have a mix of messages up there because they have a very limited amount coming from internal stores right now. So they probably wouldn't mind having you in that queue, and you can change it every couple of months. It just reaches so many cars, obviously, in both directions, So the radio time, I don't know, unless anybody on the board has any connections with free radio time. I really don't. I don't know of how to do that, how to get that. If you guys or Naomi has any connections with that, I be willing to hear about that.
I would have to look into some things, but I was just seeing if you guys were interested in that idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea. If you can target it, I think the tricky thing with that is if you can target it to this area, and I think with radio, that's difficult to get down to a smaller area, township, or even surrounding area. It's difficult, but it's it's a good way, especially if it's you know, if it's free somehow, if that, you know, if you find out any more about it, I guess, you know, bring it up again. That's good.
Yeah, I think that's our issue with the radio and the television was always the cost.
Yeah. Anyone else have anything on the brochures or public relations from the community center?
One more thing. It was in regards to Google. Like if I was to search for like community centers in the area, like a new person moving in, or now they have a family, they want to do more. I was thinking we might, what they call, I guess I'm calling it curb appeal, maybe figure out how to get Google to have better photos listed on there. Because right now it looks like a family that got stuck in a ditch is what I saw.
Okay,
Phil, you're muted.
Can't hear you, Phil.
there we go. We can do that. We'll take a look on how Google does that. We did have an intern study that, and we've been monitoring the statistics since then, like how many people they send to us and what comes up when you put swimming pool, what comes up when you put birthday party, what comes up when you put fitness
Yeah.
center. But you Google community center and that's where the picture came up that looked dated.
Naomi, you're muted. Naomi, sorry, you're muted.
Sorry. Couldn't
Okay.
see myself either. No, I don't mean to be funny about it, but when I Googled it just to see, because I was looking at the agenda and I noticed that I put in like the different parks, specifically one of them that came up, it was the Plymouth Valley one where I guess there was a family that maybe they looked like they had a great time while they were there, but they put their car over that ditch. So they were like, it was fun photos, but it was just, I know that we have more to show than, you know, what they posted to the site.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't the community center, it was East Plymouth Valley Park.
Right, but the
Okay.
community center is what I put in as well, and those were some of the pictures that came up.
Okay,
If
good.
that makes
Thank
sense.
you.
Like it's somehow
Yep.
it's connected to
Yeah.
Right.
the township. So
Okay.
Yeah, so the community center, some of the parks came up too.
Yep.
mhm.
Got it.
I do have a friend that owns a business that's what they specialize in is Google searches. If you guys are interested in doing that, I can reach out to him.
Yeah, we can, yeah, we'll contact you, Jason, to get his name.
Yeah.
You guys have someone or a couple people that specifically work on social media type stuff for the center, right?
We do, at the moment, the programmers are kind of trying to chip in and do a lot of that.
Okay. The only reason I ask, I'm not really great with social media. I just know of when you do Facebook ads that you can do a boost. When you boost those ads for a little bit of money, it just gets to a lot more people.
Correct.
So that's why I was bringing it up. I didn't know if you guys had tried that in the past or not to boost the amount of eyes seeing it for a little bit of tiny bit of investment.
We do, we have done that. And I think we pick and choose kind of which ones we want to do that with our programs that we think might need so.
Right.
And are new or something that might be a little larger, for a little larger attendance, which obviously hasn't been lately, but we have done that in the past. And I think Sean in particular has kind of looked at that and kind of reviewed how it is working and what percentage of people I think look at it.
Okay, that's good. I just want to make sure you guys were aware of it and if you've tried it, that's good. That's cool. Unless anyone had anything else on that subject.
I just looked.
Go ahead.
I just looked at what Naomi was talking about, and I think it looks almost like it's like someone tagged themselves there. You know what I mean? And that's the picture that popped up because there's a lot of just like random, like here's my family looking at the fish, but yeah, there's like 3 or 4 of this car that's stuck over this hump. I think whenever you tag yourself there in social media, we can't control that.
Can you? You
I
can't
know.
control,
I don't think so.
No, but I guess maybe we just
we can
gotta
remove
flood
them.
it or ask maybe everybody to send out a picture of yourself at the park in the past as
Yeah.
in remembrance. I don't know, to flood it, to make it more, well, maybe
Current.
I don't want it flooded with cars, but something
Yeah,
that
these-
shows you and be more specific somehow.
Right.
This looks like an
Yes.
insurance photo that this guy took, you know?
Something that's a little more positive and a little more people doing things in
Yes.
the park, I think is Naomi's idea, which I think is a
Yeah.
good one.
That's a great idea.
What if
Yeah.
we did like, just like the holiday, the decorating contest, what if we did like a photo contest? You could do that at all the parks, you know, take your picture of whatever, doing whatever, your family doing whatever at the park, take a picture of it, all that jazz. And we can kind of boost some of that stuff while running this little contest.
You could,
Sorry, was writing that one down. Sorry, that's a good one. We will look at that. And I think we can touch base with some of the staff on some of the things that they might like to do, because I know they're trying to do some outdoor events too. So maybe we can, as Naomi put it, maybe we can flood it with some of those things.
Yeah.
And kind of do that. Great idea.
Yeah, just maybe they can do, if they're familiar with this called a snapshot or something, like we can maybe put them around in the parks. I don't know, that might be more work too, but my creative wheel's starting to go, so I'm gonna just email you guys when that happens.
Sure.
okay. Moving
Yeah.
on, there is the holiday house decorating contest.
Yes, I think kudos to all of you guys for your judging. I think it went very well. We were very, very happy with the amount of people that we had that entered. And I think it was a very nice thought on Chris's part for something to get us going for the holidays. You know, keep everything going and keep people energized and involved. I think for the first year, the response was really, really good. And I think it should probably be a return event for every year. Does anybody have any of your thoughts from the judging perspective?
There was a lot of categories, I thought. Maybe too many.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It was tough to figure out like what's curb appeal. Like, I mean, I don't know. It was, yeah, I found myself going through the same process. Like, I really like it, but is it too traditional? Is traditional good or bad? Like, I had that same kind of issue.
How many total homes got in on it this year?
Phil, help me out. I think we were
27.
26. Okay.
27.
I missed one. I was on
And
26, I think.
we can redo the score sheet next year and think about bringing it down. The good thing was all the categories, I think it got us a true winner. I mean, it was close. And I think because there were so many categories, it was very close between the top three. So the more categories, the more it spreads out the voting. I mean, it was tough to pick what the categories were. What is traditional? Is that white lights? Is it red and blue lights? So, I Googled terms and borrowed some, but I don't know. I was thinking 3 would be better, but I don't know. We're going to have refine it every year, I think is kind of what I'm looking at with that.
Okay. Well, overall it was good. I can definitely see that growing each year. We may double that next year, for entries. So that was cool. I think that was a great
Hey,
contest.
Chris.
I just one quick little thought. Again, I don't want to add any expenses to this because we don't want it to start to be something that like costs us money. But I thought it might be cool if like maybe for next year, every house that entered had a sign on their front yard announcing that they were like just saying like Plymouth house decorating contestant. So as people are driving around, they can, like I'm blown away at how many people don't have visible street numbers on their house. I would be scared to death for some of these poor people if something ever happened and then an emergency. But I don't know, it might be kind of cool for people to have like a sign out on their lawn showing that they're a contestant. So as families drive through, they can see them pretty quick. But something cheap. And just the whole idea for that came from a resident in the Valley, and their family was one of the contestants. So it was kind of cool that she came up with the idea and we were able to do it. And I know their family didn't win, but they clearly enjoyed doing it. So it was, and I think there's a lot of townships and stuff around here that copied off of us. Because we were definitely the first, I think.
Yeah, White Marsh did it too, right? I think.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think he's snorting.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I kind of like Chris's idea. We can look into it like for a good idea, because one of the things is there is a lot of houses. When I went out and looked, there were houses, but and I kind of thought, oh, I looked at one and said, oh, that's really nice, and then I realized they weren't on my list. So I didn't really know why they wouldn't be on our list, of course, but they were not. And then I did have a few times in the valley, I think, when I was trying to look for house numbers and was having a hard time with them. So I kind of felt the opposite way. Obviously, I know people were, hoping that people would drive by if you put your house in, but I felt like I was lurking outside a few houses too many times, going up and down the street because I couldn't find the right numbers for them. But either way, it was enjoyable, and I think it went really, really well.
Anything else on the holiday house contest from anyone?
Is there anything about ones that maybe were professionally decorated? Did that factor into anyone else's judging?
I got to be honest, I never even thought of it.
That's a tough one. When I looked at them, I guess that's gonna come down to the honor system. If we ever break it up, have like a pro division and a non-pro division. But if somebody doesn't tell the truth, I don't know. I know what you mean, Rosemary. I mean, some of them were really good, and they obviously had access to some really high ladders and lifts, I guess. And
I can say the guy that came in second, that I know that a lot of people are probably thinking are professionally done. He is a professional electrician, but it's his house. You know what I mean? So it's kind of tricky there.
Yeah.
He did. He brought the box truck in and he wrapped all of them up. So technically, I guess it was professionally done, but he's the professional. So he didn't pay a professional.
I will throw this out there. One of the townships I looked at that did this, they didn't let people win 2 years in a row. You could only win, one a year, then you have to sit out a year. Another option is a newbie award, like your first time in, you get an award. So we can talk more about this in the fall, but those are all options. So the same people don't win every year, because if that happens, I think it gets boring for everybody else.
Yeah.
But I thought about the pro division, but it's tough to tell. Like Mike said, you just don't know. And
right.
If you're a landscaper, you got access to some equipment. It's your house. Why not? So.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sorry. Moving on to the community center fitness classes and senior classes.
Yes, I think with those, just wanted to discuss that I think they went really well. We had a good mix in the fall of classes that were outdoors and a few indoors. A lot of the outdoor classes, people received those really well and actually preferred the outdoor classes over the indoor classes as much as we could. So I think a lot of Ed's classes in particular, they were all outside and went really well, which they usually a lot of the times are outside. We also had some additional instructors that chose to take their classes outside. Some smaller group training ones that were outside also. And I think they had good participation. They came along well, and I think were received well by many of the people. So I think it is something that we want to look at. For right now, we do only have 1 or 2 classes that are choosing to stay outside in the cold weather, and we are trying to work with them and do that as much as possible between the weather and the light and the lighting situation. I believe today one of them went inside, but other than that, I think they're trying to meet outside as much as possible. And I think as soon as the nice weather hits, we will probably be continuing a lot of that and try to continue going with many of the outdoor classes, and obviously as many as we can inside based on instructor availability and the comfort level of the participants. from the indoor. So does, and the senior classes, most of those are inside. And they are also be received, have been received well. And pretty much we have a limited number in those classes, just so that in the large gymnasium, just so that they are far enough apart. We have them set about, I would say 9 to 10 feet apart. And probably our largest difficulty might be in those classes to get the seniors not to be so social. But we have a system to set everything up, tear it down, clean everything, and I think it is going very well for the senior classes. And as soon as we reopened in January, they were pretty much ready once we started those classes and came back in for those classes. So
Have you seen a really big drop off in senior people coming out on a daily basis? Or if you had to put a percentage drop off, would you know? Is it down?
Well, at first, what we did with the senior classes was kind of take them by registration. So they had to register for the classes, which got kind of tough because then some people got shut out. And then those people that registered, certain times they didn't feel they wanted to come out, or, they just don't all come consistently. They have doctor's appointments, they have other things. So we did have people that said, call me, I'll come, I'll take anybody's spot. So once we got far enough along in our comfort level, I believe we dropped that part of the participation, and now they are basically open, first come, first served. We have a certain amount of numbers that we can fit in each class, with them being distanced out further. And I believe once we started back out in January, the first class or two, we had some availability, but after that, those classes are pretty much filled. With the senior
Good, that's
classes.
good.
So again, it's not, the filled is not what was filled before, but it is filled with the numbers that we are permitted to take and feel comfortable taking at the moment.
Okay. Any questions on the fitness stuff? Did you cover aquatics too in that? I might have missed that. I'm sorry.
No, I did not. I'm sorry. The aquatics things are going well in the aquatics. I think that was where our highest participation is. Right at the moment, we have a reservation system for lap swimming, and that is pretty much filled most of the time. We do have some time spots in like the water walking and the more shallow end that is, not quite as filled sometimes in the afternoon. And maybe early evening, but for the most part, the lap lanes are pretty much booked throughout the day, throughout the week for that. And again, they are also in demand, and we have a little list for people in case we get cancellations for that also.
And the leisure side of the pool, that's still closed to
that
everyone?
is still closed. Yes, at the moment that is still closed. We are looking for something maybe for spring break to try to do something in there, again, with a limited amount of people, maybe by families, but we're still investigating that a little bit as a staff and kind of looking into that and kind of looking at regulations and CDC and other things for that one.
Yeah, is that you guys, or is that the county decision? Is that you guys trying to be safe?
It's some of both. We've checked with the county for most of our, our things that we can do. We use them as a very nice resource. But again, it would be limited. I mean, we would not want to open it up carte blanche for it. So that's what I said. We're kind of looking in to see what we could do on a very limited basis, maybe for like a family participation in different sections of the leisure pool. So we'll see what we can do for that one. Our lessons, we do have, again, a limited set of lessons, but those that we have are going well, and the participation is very well. The reservation system is doing good with that. I think our issue is we probably don't have as much time or as many instructors that we would like to have at the moment. but little by little, we'll see what we can do. Spring is usually the busiest time for lessons. So, we're going to kind of try to see what we can do to maybe schedule a few more at this point for it. I know they're in demand, and I know whatever we offer is usually filled fairly quickly.
And it's either a new rule or recent, I guess the parent has to be in the in the water with the child instead of the instructor being as close as they used to be, something like that.
That didn't go over real well from what I understand, because most of the parents did not want to be in the water with them.
Okay, so you guys retracted that?
Yeah, well, but no, the instructor is still not in the water with them. The instructor is pretty much up on the deck at the moment. Correct, Phil?
Correct. Yeah, we changed it. We had them in with but it was just too close. I mean, it's within 6 feet for 30 minutes. So to be able to continue to have lessons, we asked the parents to get in with the children. And some people did. We were doing that back between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But we're starting to get back into more group lessons where the kids will be in the pool by themselves. So.
Okay, so any upcoming stuff, the parent can sit off to the side and wait and watch?
It depends on the conditions, Brian. When the cases are really high, people aren't comfortable getting in with the staff isn't comfortable being close to children. So that's really what drove it. We got through the summer with no issues, but I mean, with swimming, the kids can't be in the pool themselves. And if there was somebody from their household, they're much safer than with a teenager or a lifeguard. So, I mean, it wasn't that we changed the policy. It was just what was safe during COVID.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
I mean, eventually we'll be able to get back to the way they were, but it just seemed prudent not to have, I mean, some of those leaders were doing 3 or 4 lessons a day. If there's positive tests, it just wouldn't be good for anybody. So it's just safer to keep the parents that way. But as long as things continue to improve, hopefully we can get back to it.
Yeah, and I think it's also with the ages of the kids, and maybe it's between the comfort level of the ages of the kids that can be in the water versus those ages that cannot, with that one. Also in water aerobics, again, water aerobics is kind of set up a little bit like we mentioned in land aerobics. And we take first come, first serve on a number basis. In the water aerobics, we did kind of add lanes to the deep water side. So I don't think, we're readily trying not to turn away people for that one, but, and we do have them physically distanced in the pool as well as we have in the land aerobics. So we do take less people in those classes, but I can tell you they are, again, pretty filled during the daytime, and there are some availability in the evenings also with those classes. But what is running very well with them.
Just a quick side question. Are you guys running on shorter hours, or are you on a regular normal schedule now?
No, we're on shorter hours. So right at the moment we are open 6 in the morning until 7 in the evening, and on weekends we are open from 8 to 4.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And for rentals for the aquatics area, at the moment we do have 3 groups that are after hours. They are both basically running until from 7. So they start at 7 and they come in at about 7:10 for some of those groups. So and then they stay till a little after 9, and the staff is in until 9:30. So we have the PWAC, the Plymouth White Marsh Aquatic Club, the Colonial Aquatic Club, and we do have one night with Mount St. Joe's, and they are renting versus some of the things that they have done in the past. And at the moment, there are no other groups that are in with them. They are using each of the lanes and spreading out for that. And, at the moment, things are looking like they are going to continue for a little while. So that is what we're doing in the pool to keep that busy.
Okay, thank you. Then there's parks and maintenance concession stand.
Yes, I believe, forgot to catch up with Rick today, but I know that is going well. I know there was probably only a little bit of things left with it, and he was getting calls from some of the equipment coming in and that sort of thing for it. So hoping by the time that baseball is ready to go, the concession stand is ready to go also. And that will be able to be used this year for it. So,
That will not or will be, I'm sorry.
oh, I'm pretty sure it will be. I
Okay,
mean, I will check again in with Rick, but I'm pretty sure it was doing very well. I think they were doing a few things on the outside. And I know, like I said, I think they were still getting some equipment that was coming in for it.
and the playground at East Plymouth Valley?
Yes, the East Plymouth Valley Park is becoming an interesting project. We did not receive the grant from DCNR for that project. And we were thinking about going ahead and doing that project on our own, maybe on a scaled back basis. So in the meantime, while we were thinking about that, we did receive a little bit of information that we are still in the running for a DCED grant for that playground. And I've been in contact with them and back and forth, getting information back and forth and giving them that they need, what they have with DCED is called an analyst. They, I guess, analyze all the projects, put their recommendations in and that sort of thing. So we're working back and forth with the analyst for the DCED grant. That is a pretty much a 50-50 grant. There's a little bit difference of change in there on one side or the other. So they are meeting in March. And if they continue and meet in March, they have a fairly large quorum requirement. So I would like to hope that we might hear in April if we would qualify for that project. I don't know if that will be the case. Again, everybody's meetings and schedules are a little different because of COVID and because of the changes that they needed to do. With them needing a large requirement for a quorum, I'm hoping, keeping my fingers crossed, quite honestly, that Zoom is going to help with having that quorum and the fact that not a lot else is going on. So I'm hoping that could be in the favor of them awarding grants a little bit sooner rather than later for it. But we are still in the running in that and would like to see if we can perhaps receive a grant for that project. So we do have some ideas on the project. We have some designs one way or another, kind of a scaled down version, as well as a little bit different version if we can get the grant. So that would be helpful.
And
either way.
that was a playground that was going to be geared to all inclusive kids with special
Yes.
needs and everything, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Inclusive playground at East Plymouth Valley Park.
Okay.
So, once we know a little bit more, we could kind of put together a timeline. We do have a timeline submitted with the grant, but again, once we know a little bit more, if we would receive it and once we would get a representative with the grant agency, then we could kind of know a little bit more about what might be acceptable for a timeline, one way or the other.
Okay. Did anyone have questions on the concession stand or the playground status there?
I just have a quick question. If the playground we're thinking about redoing it, and if the grant does come through, is there an opportunity to get like community engagement feedback of like the neighborhood and surrounding families? And
I would think once we know whether we would be getting a grant or not, we could absolutely try to put something out of what we were looking at for it. I'm not sure. We have to check with our timeline one way or the other, for that. But I mean, I'm sure we can definitely put something out and get some feedback and say, this is what we're looking at doing. I think we would be interested in that in particular with some of the inclusive community to make sure they're happy with what we are doing also.
Anyone else? Questions, comments on that? Okay. The Harriet Weatherall Park Trail continuation.
Yes, I know Rick was working with our contractor that we had planned to do something last year, and I'm not sure we totally got to it. So we had carried over a little bit of our funding to do that. And they are working on connecting, I want to say, the portion right near the barn, in between the barn and the pavilion. So connecting the pavilion and the barn, as well as kind of the trail that goes back by the playground. So we're looking at that leg to be kind of one of our final connections for that whole loop there, to kind of make that area a little more accessible for those that may be rented between when we get to back to renting for the pavilion, as well as the building, and the activities that could go back and forth for it. So I know he was down there last week. I just haven't gotten down there.
Okay. Any programs, camps, and any other programs going on?
Yes, we just put out some of our programs for January. Unfortunately, when we shut down in February, we kind of had our brochure ready to go. But we recreated what we could, pushed a few things back. So some of the programs that were going to start in January, we kind of moved back a little bit, and they are starting in February. We do have a number of preschool programs going. We also have kind of you can rent your own time with like the inflatables inside as we used to. Just it's done on a little bit of different basis now. Instead of opening it up as a program, it's opened up as a rental. We do have some sports programs that are going on with the little guys, some basketball, that sort of thing. For those, so we're just putting those out, and we will continue along with our schedule in those for the February, March issue on those. So where we do have instructors, we are trying to do so on a smaller basis. I also know they were looking at a babysitting class, which we had done with a private contractor, and that is filling up nicely. We do have a couple things on the weekends that are doing just a very small amount to see how they go over. So we have been pretty successful with what we are running. What is running, we do have a few that we need to cancel, but for the most part, most of them are getting enough registration to go, and that people feel comfortable with them. So I think that is a big bonus for us for the programs right now. And I know they have also put together some things that are outside for Valentine's Day. They did a Christmas, they were looking for like an elf in the park, and they're doing that for Valentine's Day. And Barb has something cool coming up for Easter too. So, they are really working to get some different events for people that are outside, that are not our traditional, if you will, kind of special events, with everybody coming inside. But we are, trying to keep things going, and keep people active with us for the kids.
Has there been interest in the renting the the open playroom yet for the kids?
I just heard, I think we put that out this week, I believe. And I know we have at least one.
I think
rental
there's a good couple.
More than one?
Yeah.
Good.
So yeah, they were kids zones coming back. So we can
And what
spread
are-
out in there, make it bigger. So
What are the guidelines? Is it one family, or can multiple families do it together?
no, I think it would be, there'll be a wait list if there's too many, and it's only like 2 or 3 based on the space. Then that way there's no crowds. So we can open up more time slots if there's interesting. We just wanted to give people an option if they don't want to go to the playground on a cold day, that they can come out and play around and, get inside and use the inflatables we have and the toys. So we haven't had a chance to use them, but yeah, we'll take reservations. It's 3 or 4 families. It should be straight. Then when we get done, we'll clean everything and then, put it away. And if we need more time, we'll certainly add it. But yeah, it should be good. I was glad to hear when people started to call about it. So I was excited they want to come back.
I think it was it limited to 4 or 5 people at a time?
Yeah, I think so, depending
Yeah.
on the size of the families. So
Yeah.
the bigger rooms are all taken with the fitness equipment, so we have to put it in a little smaller room, but it'll work. So we figured we get them in now, and then, you know, as spring comes in, maybe they'll come do that, then head to the playground. So.
Good. Any other questions on that?
I don't have a question, but I have a something I wanted to share in regards to programming. I'm going to be exploring working with the community center. I spoke with Joanne in regards to Black History Month, which I did last year, was a pop-up exhibit of different inventions and just history facts. This year, because things are the way they are, it's not open to the public in that setting. So I was setting up an online for our CHD week, but it's going to have a tribute to Black History Month. So with that said, the program is going to be a week long and it's online. People can come on and participate with the different workshops that are going to be available. Now, the specific tribute to Black History Month is going to have panelists from across the country sharing their information on jazz and on the Underground Railroad. And these are historians as well as artists and other performers. I was trying to do, I think there's going to be a connection with the NAACP where they're going to share how their organization came about, and then also about college tours in regards to the HBCU. That was for Black History Month, but the week itself is going to have different activities in regards to congenital heart disease. And that's something that I was trying to find a way, if this is something that can work, then maybe we can reach out to other organizations to say, would you like to do your programming through the community center? And basically what would happen is we would be able to get more constituents through registration. And if they sell tickets, then we could have it where, you know, you get a proceed through like the advertisement of through the community center. It's new and I haven't done it before, but as I speak to everyone that I am working with, they are on board and I believe it's going to turn out really nice. And I hope that each of you will be able to participate, not participate, but come out and participate, because some things are interacting and it is through Zoom. So we'll see how it works.
Okay. Cool.
Sorry, still taking notes. Great. Yeah, good news. And I believe the last one on our note is camps. We have put in our proposal for what we would like to do for camps this year. We kind of have an outline of how we want them to operate, and now, and maybe we are going to start Joanna has started to formulate a lot of the things that would take place in those programs. We're going to start to slowly take registration and reservations for registration with a little bit of funding each month towards that program, so that the further we get there, the more we know about it. Right now, we have a spreadsheet of how many children we would be allowed to have in those in the programs in certain rooms. And if recommendation by the time we get to June, if some recommendations and things improved and we could take more children, we could do that on a sliding basis as long as we have staff. So we are looking at be a little bit different than last year, a little more progressive, we are hoping, than last year, for both camp as well as the playground, and probably a limited teen camp that we are looking at. For each of those camps, we are looking at only on-site camps, probably no trips, no anything like that, because we're just not sure with buses and things of that sort. So that is our game plan and our outline. We did get all of that approved. So that's kind of what we will be working towards. I would say in the next couple of weeks, there would probably be information put out on some of that.
Is any of it planned to be all outdoors?
I don't believe any of it is to be all outdoors. Our all outdoors options last year did not go well, and people
Yep.
did not register for them.
We tried Caldwell, East Plymouth Valley, and the community center. And 1 week we had at East Plymouth Valley, we had maybe 6 kids. So at least last year, the market wasn't there to be outside. They wanted to be at the community center. I mean, they have the air conditioning, and they go outside a lot at the community center. They use the playground and the fields and the pavilion, but last year we just didn't have much luck. Now, we're going to try to bring back the summer playground program at Plymouth Elementary. That is an outdoor-based program. They only go inside when it rains there. And we'll be checking with the school district about getting our permits for that. And that has always been outside. Even on the hottest days, they've been under trees. So I would have thought last summer there'd have been a bigger market, but everybody just signed up at GPCC. But hopefully we get the playground back, and that'll help.
Yeah, I know, we're looking to get our approvals from the school district to see how that might work. So I think that would be our largest shot at an outdoor program, Shannon.
I'm just wondering, with everybody, I feel like everybody's mental health and need for social interaction is there, and with it
Yes.
going on longer and longer, maybe they'll lose
Yes.
more of an interest. I'm not sure.
Yes, I agree. I think the interest, or I think as your term with everybody being inside, I think the anticipation and the desire is there, and people want to be outside. I'm just not sure all the kids kind of are in the same way. What we are hearing is one of the last things that kids seem to want to do is be online, and have to do things via computer. So that might be a good bonus for us too.
One big difference we're hoping for this summer, we didn't swim last year. We didn't use the
Yes.
leisure pool. So we're
Yes.
really hoping to get rec swimming so the campers can swim 3 or 4 days a week. And you're right, Shannon. Like literally we reopened on January 4th and people were calling to ask about summer camp and wanted to sign up. So you are so spot on. It's going to be a big year. It really is. We're looking forward to it.
Great.
Hi, I wasn't sure if I missed this, but with the summertime camps and activities, is there where they have when you start to go to different parks, like, hey, have you visited this park, or have you visited this park, like a check-in? Are you familiar or is everyone familiar with that, where you go to the different parks and you check in?
We can certainly try that. I know what you mean, and we could have people try to, I think we'll start that in the next few weeks. People are going out in the parks in the winter more than ever, so have them let us know when they're out there. So yeah, I think that should be year round, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's I think we could do something different maybe with families on that versus the kids in the camp too. Maybe we could kind of run it on a couple of different bases there. Yeah.
Good thoughts. Anyone else have comments, question? Is there any new business to go over?
I was just going to ask if there was any, I think I just said this, but anything planned around like mental health and wellness. I think, that any sort of tie-in to that to get people into the community center or into programming with a connection and tie-in to emotional health and well-being right now is probably something that's needed. But yeah, so I don't have any concrete ideas, but just wanted to throw that out there.
I know that everyone is like really saying like to do an in-person activity in regards to that. But the CHD week, we have like 3 days where it does deal with coping with loss, coping with anxiety and different types of mental and physical. We also have a workshop with the Vixen. But that's just like a trial and error. It's all online. It is not the in-person part. But you're right. It would be nice if maybe there was some type of scavenger hunt or something that would get them to come out individually, I guess, in space and time. I don't know how you would do that without bringing a lot of people together at once.
Yeah, I think Shannon is kind of trying to touch base with something that has a little, some mental health that goes with it. And I'm not sure we would have to look into a partnership, I think, for something like that. Because we do not have that. Yeah, we don't have that specialty on board. Oh, maybe that little one
Right.
could help
I have
us.
doctors. I actually have doctors and nurses and different psychiatrists are going to be on the panels.
Okay, so we can touch base with that a little bit with the staff and see what we think about that. It is tough with with our limited amount of staff right at the moment and limited time frame of what we can do. But I think it's definitely something that maybe we can look at because I think you're right again, Shannon. I think once people can get out, then they're going to want to get out, and then they're going to want maybe some more things than we could do, and that might be another way to offer.
Is there any other additional comments, questions? That's pretty much it with the agenda, I think.
Any other thoughts on new business or miscellaneous?
Nothing here.
Chris, any thoughts? Oh, Chris, you're muted.
People try to mute me all day long, but they never can. I don't know, not a whole lot of updates from the township. I will say one thing kind of interesting or exciting. Over the past week or so, they were drilling the test well for the township building renovation, where we're going to be hopefully shifting over to a geothermal heating and cooling system as part of our kind of going along with our Ready for 100 initiative to get off of fossil fuels and use renewable energy. So you may have, I don't know if anybody was around there in the last week or so, you may have seen what looked like an oil well kind of going up, but that was their test well, and then we'll get a report on whether or not the ground is sufficient to go to geothermal. But that'll be a big piece of our township building renovation. It should be starting, at some point, maybe during this year. I don't know. Other than that, pretty much all I have.
All righty. Anyone else?
This might not be this time or space for this, but any news on the redevelopment or plan for the mall?
I knew somebody was going to ask that. No, so we are there have been 3 months now of zoning hearings. So the next one is scheduled for February. So it's just still kind of ongoing, and essentially the company that owns the mall, they're trying to prove that by right, based on the zoning, that they can build apartments there. But we obviously believe that they can't. So they're trying to argue that. But I know that they would like to try to avoid this going through the court system, and they would like to try to work something out. So I think we're continuing to have ongoing conversations. But my ask for them is to come up with a comprehensive vision for the mall for the future, for the as I guess Brian would be familiar with the term, the inner line stores of the mall. And that's what I'd like to see a bigger plan of. But I guess at this point, as they try to go through zoning, we're just continuing conversations to see if we can come up with something that works. You know what? I was kind of thinking the other day, they built all these new stores in that mall, and they all have outside entrances. And I wonder why they did that. They had a chance to put all these new, whether it's Burlington or Dick's or Miller's or the gym, and they could have funneled people inside to come into those buildings, and they didn't. So I'd like to get an answer for that. I'm not really sure why they did that, but still a great place to walk though, and go get a nice chicken sandwich and some waffles.
There we go.
That's cool.
There we go. It is a good place to walk. Because there aren't a lot of people in there either, unfortunately, for the mall's sake, but walking is a good thing. I know I've been in for the walking one time, so that was nice. All right, if we don't have anything else, I appreciate everyone bearing with us for the meeting and joining us in our Zoom for that. And I will definitely get back to you on our thoughts for the March meeting. In the meantime, if you have anything else, just shoot us an email, give us a call. And we're hopefully going to be there and stay open and keep going and keep moving ahead.
I'll make a
Motion
motion
for
to adjourn.
adjournment.
Yep. Thank you, Rosemary. Love it.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
All
everyone.
righty. Take care,
All right.
everyone.
Have a
Take
great
care.
day.
Bye, everyone.